Exercise 8. In this exercise, we're going to learn how to create a swept blend, or what other packages sometimes refer to as a loft. For lofted features, they're great for use for something like this application where you have a free-form outer hull of a boat. And so that's our goal here today, as you can see. We're going to start off by creating a series of datum planes, all offset from the front plane forward, 6, 8, and 1 inch offsets. And then we're going to go ahead and put profiles on each one of those planes all the way to the tip. And then we'll go ahead and use the swept blend tool and sweep it forward, creating the hull. Let's begin with a new part file. Go ahead and label this E8 and hit OK. Like I said, we're going to first start off by offsetting the front plane. So we could click on this, and here is the plane tool. We could actually just drag this forward, and here you can see it's a very far distance. The first one's only 6 inches. And then hit OK. Now we could take that one, click on that new datum plane, and offset that one. We could type in up here in the upper right 8 inches, or again do what we did earlier where we went ahead and put it right down here. Now the final one, go ahead and click on it and datum. Also, you could use the plane icon up here as well. And either one is fine. And this last one, as it gets to the tip of the boat, is 1 inch offset. So now if we were to zoom up here, you would see the planes all aligned. Doesn't look very large. This is a very small boat. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we could start our sketch on the very first plane, or just to make sure, click on the front plane, and we're just creating a sketch. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw 2 lines just like so, middle click. Unfortunately, I got equal. You could see that little equal symbol, so let's click on those and hit delete on the keyboard. So these are not supposed to be equal. And now if we take a look at the actual document here on Britannia1.com, we could see that this first profile is 2 in height by 2.5 wide. So this will be 2.5, and we're just really making 1/2 the boat. And this is 2 inches. And it should zoom up automatically. Now we're going to use the spline tool. The spline is a free-form tool. We're going to go ahead and connect to this point, click, drag it down at almost a 45-degree angle-ish right there, and right about here, look carefully where my pointer is, click. So we're about 1/3 of the way. And let's say we're heading down diagonally across about 2/3 of the way, click, and then finally connect it to the vertex of that line. And then after you select that, then middle click once you get this second point. Middle click 2 times, and now we could go ahead and add the remainder of the dimensions to locate these. Go to the dimension tool, select this first point here, and click on the top line, and you can just drop it over here to the left, and that will be set to 1.25. Enter. And then dimension this point to that top line, middle click. And make sure you step them like this, and that will be 1.5. And if you like, you could actually move that over later on and align them better. Now we're going to go ahead and go across here and change these two. So this one right here will be 0.5 and the other will be 1.5. So double click on this. Oops. I'm just going to go ahead, since I'm in the dimension tool, and override that one. And 0.5. Oops. And now this one, click on that point to this vertical line. This will be 1.5. Okay, now that we have that, if we rotate, you could see that now it makes a lot more sense how far they are apart. It truncated the sizes of our plane profiles. Okay, so now that we have that, we are done. We could go ahead and hit OK. And if we zoom out again, what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and select that sketch, and go to operations. And I'm sorry, not operations. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. Just make sure it's selected and go to copy up at the top. Now we could click on the plane we want to drop it onto, and now go to paste. And just go ahead and hit sketch, and it should allow us to locate our new point, our new geometry. You can just go ahead and click here to drop it in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a coincident relationship between this corner, and we could use it to this edge, and then this edge to this horizontal, what looks like a center line. Okay, now we could go ahead and change these dimensions. I'm going to middle click a couple times. I'm going to drag them down so they're a little bit more orderly. And the more orderly they are, the better off you will be as you change these, because these dimensions are going to reflect something different. So right here, we see that they actually get larger. So we'll start with the larger dimensions and work our way out. So 2.375 and 3. So this is 2.375, and this one down here is 3. Okay, the next set. 1.75 and 2. 1.75 and 2. And finally, those last ones are 1.375 and 0.75. And you can see in light blue the old geometry. Let's go ahead and hit OK. If we rotate it again, now you could see we're getting some profiles. Let's go ahead and drop a new one on this one here. Click here, and it should still have it in the memory buffer, so you could just hit paste again. Go ahead and hit sketch, and again just offset it a little bit like this, middle click. Okay, now for this one, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to go with coincident, this top line here to that line, this right line to this line here. And now if we look at the parameters, it gets much smaller now. And we're looking at, so when it gets smaller, choose the smallest dimensions first and work our way out. So we're 0.2 and 0.2 for the smallest dimensions. So middle click a couple times, and then 0.2 and 0.2. Moving on to the next one, we're looking at 0.5 and 0.375. And finally, those last two dimensions, the big ones, are 0.675 and 0.6. Okay, and there we have it. We really could leave them the way they are. Go ahead and hit OK. Now finally, this last one, we're going to go ahead and have it go to a very small little profile, but we're just going to draw it in from scratch because there's no point in trying to downsize it. So go ahead and select this plane and start a sketch. And zoom up to that corner and draw in two very small little lines. And I believe I do have dimensions for them. 0.01 and 0.01. And then go ahead and take your spline tool, and with the same number of points, just try and match it similar to that, and hit OK. It's almost invisible because it's so small. Now we finally need to go to the right plane and start a sketch and draw a vector or line here. So take the line tool and right at the origin, click and drag it all the way. It really doesn't matter if it goes farther. If it goes shorter, it stops at this line when you loft. So you could actually have it hang off the end there if you middle click. You can make it an even 15 if you like. As long as it's over 15 or greater than 15, you're in good shape. Or equal to. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now we're ready to use the swept blend. It should default to picking that line for you. If not, go ahead and select it. Now go to sections and make sure, first of all, over here that it's going with a solid. You don't want a surface. If it's a surface, that might be a clue that you don't have geometry that's clean or watertight. But anyway, let's go to selected sections. Click in this box and click in this upper left corner of this back profile. Go to insert. You have to hit insert. Click on this next one. If it looks funny, like if it's twisting, note that this ball can twist it like that. If you grab it, you can just drag it to straighten it out. Okay, click back on section 2 and go to insert again and select this one down here. Again, it's important where you select, and insert, and we zoom up and get that little one right there. Okay, and we look good. Go ahead and hit the green check mark, and we have the geometry. Now we could turn off the plane display, and now we're going to mirror this. So select this face, go to, actually, let's click on the swept blend there. There you go. Click on it from the model tree, and now click on mirror, and now select that side face for the mirror plane and hit apply. And now we have our boat hull. If you're in my courses, we generally have a little contest to see who could design the coolest boat. If you're going to be in that, I'll just give you some helpful hints on how to create a boat from this. First of all, those sketches, you could actually just shift select them all and then hide them, the little eyeball. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and select this face and start a sketch. Now this is optional. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. Select this face and go to Extrude. I'm going to go ahead and use the offset to offset these edges. Let's see if we could, we'll try selecting an entire loop. And the arrow's pointing inward, so we don't have to type in a minus symbol or anything like that. Let's go with an offset of let's see, 5. And it didn't work, so let's try something smaller, maybe 0.25. Okay, we'll have to do them individually. So turn on, go to single, and now just do one at a time, and this will be minus 0.5. And then this one, go ahead and select this edge, and this one will just be 0.5 because the arrow is pointing inward. And now we could trim off that excess, so go to delete segment and trim that off. Let's go ahead and take the arc tool, and right about here, so we'll go across and put a little bow in there, and now we could go ahead and delete these segments through, and we should be able to extrude this now. So if we go to OK, and it says it's incomplete. Oh, there's a little fragment. See the little red dot? No. Let's go ahead and go up there and delete that segment. There we go. Okay, now we should be clear, and there we are. Okay, I'm going to drag that down a little bit. I'm just eyeballing it here, having a little fun. I'm going to go to add taper, so options, add taper, and we'll go with a minus 16. Oh, let's type in minus again to flip it. Okay, and hit the green check. Alright, now I'm going to select this face and start a sketch. Actually, just go to Extrude. And I'm going to just draw this in. I'm not going to use the offset for this one. We'll make it a little bit more square. We'll make the cabin section there. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw a center line and mirror that geometry across the center line. And now I could actually go to project and select this edge here and hit close. Now I have a closed contour, which I could hit OK and flip that to cut it, but not too deep. Don't want to sink the boat. Okay, and we could put draft on that as well. So if you go to options, add a taper, we'll put 0.5. I'm sorry, 5. There we go. Okay, let's say we want a mask for the boat. Select this face, go to extrude, and we could just draw in the diameter. Again, just having a little fun. And we can now go to OK, extrude that up, grab that, and now add a taper of 1 degree. Actually, that's a little too much, maybe 0.5. There we go. And that looks pretty good. Now we'll go ahead and select the right plane, and we'll start, we'll do a revolve here, and we'll draw, I forget what they call this, but draw this out here. And we'll put a little bit of a taper on it. And let's go ahead and we'll just extrude that. Oh, actually I was going to revolve that, sorry. Hit OK. And darn it, I forgot to draw the center line on there. So let's pause that. And let's draw that in. There we go. There we go. Okay, so, and maybe I might want to modify that a little bit. It's a little thick. Let's edit the sketch. And I'm going to grab that corner, drag it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, also we could go to the right plane, go to extrude, and draw in down below here the geometry for that. And we'll extrude that mid plane. And again, you can make anything. You can make a canoe, you can make a battleship or Titanic or whatever. But as you can see, you just keep adding on it and building onto it. And before you know it, you got yourself a nice little boat. The last thing I think I'll do here is I'll put in a sail. And I'll show you hopefully a neat little trick here on a sail. I'm going to go ahead and select the, let's see here, the right plane, start a sketch. And I'll use the spline, and we'll get it locked into there and have it give a little error in that sail. Hit the green check, and now if we go to the front plane and start a sketch, again we're going to put a little bow in there for the error. Let's see here, it needs to be right about there. And now we could take that and extrude it. All right, looks good. And now project this onto the surface, and we'll use one of our planes here for the direction. Just make sure it flips it, and hit apply. Now we could go ahead and hide that. And we could also hide this, let's see, we end up with 2 curves. What do I got there? Okay, we'll hide the other one. We'll hide this one. All right, and now we could go ahead and select the right plane again, start a sketch, and draw in another spline, perhaps up here. Okay, and let's see. And basically, I'm going to leave it at that. If you watch later on, I will probably show you how to do the rest of the sail, but essentially it would just be a loft between those two. And what we could do a boundary blend, select this and hold Control and select that, and you could see we've got our sail. And if there's anything else here, let's see. That's about it. And that concludes exercise 8.